Children of the Universe by Professor Dr. Ante Simonić. Chapter 7. Life as a Secret and a Meaning. The presented data can be interpreted by the fact that the formation of life is a possible or inevitable consequence of nuclear, physical, and chemical events on celestial bodies. Regardless of whether this assumption relates to the planets which resemble Earth or not, the development of more and more complex beings is a much greater problem. Does this mean that on many planets there is a large number of simple forms of life which flourish in the absence of big plants and animals? Consequently, we can ask ourselves the following questions. Does the evolution theory prove that there are no human beings anywhere in the universe but on Earth? Are we as a species exclusive, alone, and unique in the universe? The language of life on Earth consists of encrypted messages contained in DNA and RNA molecules. Messages in all cells except for the reproductive cells of one person are the same. Their molecular essence is shared by all plants and animals on our planet. This indicates that there is a close biological affinity among all living beings of our planet. If we consider that life on Earth is a consequence of long-term processes which took place in an impressively precise manner and in a magnificent order, it is doubtful whether the spark of life could have been lit somewhere else. Conscious of the existence of a multitude of galaxies, different star systems, and planets, we wonder whether, based on the law of probability, there is another planet identical to Earth. Namely, based on theoretical possibilities, it is probable that life also exists elsewhere, since life is perhaps only one of many nature's manifestations. Is that manifestation imminent when many prerequisites are met? Are manifestations of life universal and always the same? Are they similar to the forms and contents of life as we have them on Earth? May the existence of life be considered as a singular phenomenon, that is, a state which is faulty, so the forecast of it is catastrophic and it always ends fatally. Maybe there are systems on other planets where life is also based on compounds of carbon, but under different ecological determinants, and therefore RNA and DNA are not holders of, for example, hereditary traits, and ATP does not transfer the energy. Are there other worlds in which life uses other solvents, for example, hydrofluoric acid or liquid ammonia instead of water? Perhaps there are beings which do not have bodies primarily made of liquid in which molecules move, but life is based on a solid body through which, for example, electrical signals pass. Who can exclude the existence of entirely different living systems which are not based on carbon compounds, but, for example, on silicon or some other element? Chapter 7.1. Diversity as a prerequisite for survival and a basis of wealth. Virologist Salvador Edward Luria, 1912 to 1991, called life an imperfect experiment. Is it right to think that life is the nature's experiment which has already a few times nearly ended tragically? The impact of an asteroid or a comet on our planet 225 million years ago, not the reason for the Triassic Permian extinction, which had enormous effect to the life on Earth. And what about the Tertiary Cretaceous extinction, which happened 75 million years ago? Is not the latter catastrophe considered by many as a cause for dinosaur extinction? Does it mean that life is formed out of accident and a great deal of luck and preserved with even more luck? Why in our time megamolecules are not transformed into cells? Why new forms of life are not constantly being created in our surrounding? Is the answer to be found in the possibilities that the utmost slowness of these processes hinders their occurrence while their minuteness explains their absence? Is the formation of life a cyclical phenomenon which occurs over immense time periods? Maybe life has been created only once in very favorable circumstances, and it cannot be created since the prerequisites for its formation are exhausted and disrupted by its appearance. Do these possibilities have only the terrestrial or a general cosmic values as well? Is evolution exhausted? Can it be repeated, or it happens only once and no biological species can recreate itself? Are dinosaurs gone forever? Doshansky says, the origin of life and the origin of humans were evolutionary crises, turning points, actualizations of novel forms of being. These radical innovations can be described as transcendences in the evolutionary process. Human mind did not arise from some kind of rudimentary minds of molecules and atoms. Evolution is not simply unpacking of what was there in a hidden state from the beginning. It is a source of novelty. Here inevitably arises the thorny question: were these new forms of being determined to appear? And if so, were they real novelties? The appearance of life and the humans were the two fateful transcendences which marked the beginning of new evolutionary eras. Due to evolutionary processes, the beings that are not useful to fill ecologic niches which are provided for them disappear. Those who readily fill in free spaces in a dynamic puzzle of different forms of life are given priority. Do the living beings inherit the ability to fit into a provided place from their biological species? If yes, that would define the direction of their choice. That is, all beings of the same biological species have the same innate behavior initiatives coupled with the mechanisms of individual adaptation and mutation. Behavior initiatives which would in that case enable, for instance, that some fish crawl to the shore and become a prerequisite of the formation of amphibians, or that prehistoric people erect to start walking upright on two legs and to start using forelimbs as arms. Did, during these processes, some omnipresent cosmic conscience choose coincidences? Does that conscience presume the desired possibilities, and does it choose only optimal forms, waiting patiently and passively for desirable mutations? Since the history of culture does not involve reason, it is difficult to distinguish strangeness in the appearance of abnormal from strangeness related to the new. Therefore, the humankind has often been exposed to the dangers of deviations based on the described principle. The history of human civilization would be quite different had we valued exclusively the healthy genius. Notwithstanding the fact that in the vast majority of cases, quality boosts of culture were a result of the rise of the normal over the eccentric and wisdom over stupidity, sometimes the decadents ruled the world, and the wise imitated or supported the mad and trusted the abnormal. Chapter 7.2 Humans and their spiritual and cognitive growth. Above all other things in the world, The first thing is to cultivate your own body and mind. 吕不韦. Does human life have a meaning? If it does, is it ourselves who assign that meaning, or is it independent of us? The neurologist and the psychiatrist Viktor E. Frankl claims not only that life has a meaning, but that it is expressed in extremis and kept under all conditions and circumstances. That is why we can bear inevitable suffering and even find a sense in it. The meaning of life then reveals as a rational fulfillment of all the tasks to which we are specially and individually called upon by life itself. The fulfillment of these tasks is realized in work, enjoying the life, preserving our inner self, suffering, enduring hardship, and similar, which provides life satisfaction. If we accept the existentialists' positions, life can be identified with suffering. Consequently, survival means making sense of suffering, certainly provided that suffering is necessary, or else we would step into masochism. Therefore, if life has any meaning, then suffering and dying have meaning as well. Each individual, however, must explore these issues because only that way one can grasp his or her own purpose, which is the prerequisite for taking over the responsibility which is bestowed upon him or her by the purpose itself. If one succeeds, regardless of all obstacles and problems, the individual will grow and attain self-fulfillment, and as F. Nietzsche says, he who has a why to live for can bear almost anyhow. The word finis in Latin means end or goal. This is the solution. When difficult times come, one should live for the future and for a goal in the future, whereby the knowledge that each one of us is singular and unique is extremely helpful. Are those who consider that the ability of Homo sapiens to exist through the purpose of future as a subspecies alternitatis, Latin for under the aspect of eternity, right? People carry their own life story, their cross in different ways, which enables us to give our life a deeper sense even in most difficult circumstances. This relates to the ill, prisoners, all those faced with the difficult trials. They respond with different levels of courage, altruism, patience, dignity, and love. Did the renowned Russian novelist Fyodor Mikhailovich Dostoevsky, 1821 to 1881, not write, "There is only one thing that I dread, not to be worthy of my sufferings"? Are animals capable of understanding the meaning of their own life or own pain or, for instance, life at all? Probably not. But a new question arises. Is the human understanding of the meaning of the highest point of understanding in the universe? Is there anything or anyone above the human who understands the ultimate meaning of overall individual human meanings? This superior meaning goes beyond human possibilities. So, A. Einstein says, to know the answer to the meaning of life means to be religious. And Ludwig Wittgenstein, 1889 to 1951. To believe in God means to see that life has a meaning.